Hello everyone, my name is Hernani Oliveira. I'm a postdoctoral researcher in the University of Brasilia in Brazil, and I'm going to talk with you today about the deforestation in mining as a threat to an endemic and endangered species in the neotropical savannas, the Cerrados. Lonchophylla decayeri, or the decayser nectar's bat, is an endemic species of the Cerrados of Brazil. You may have heard of the Brazilian Cerrado before, but it's a type of savanna, just like in Africa, but it's actually the most biodiverse savannas in the world. And in comparison to other habitats in Brazil, it's much more easily deforested to plants and to cultivate crops. So it has been fastly deforested in the last few decades, posing an important threat for most of the species occurring in this habitat, including Lonchophylla decayeri. Lonchophylla decayeri is also a species that has a very small home range, so it cannot migrate to other habitats, and it's very restricted to the place where it occurs, including places near caves where it's only recorded roost. So caves play an important role in terms of its not only its ecology but also its conservation. Since if you, in theory, destroy a cave, you'll be also destroying the only known place that Lonchophylla decayeri is able to roost and it needs to survive. It's also an important pollinator of different plant species in the Brazilian cerrados, including an important economically plant species that's called Carioca brasiliensis and pequi in Portuguese. So it has also a value for the economy, the local economy here in Brazil. As such, Lonchophylla decayeri has also a limited distribution range and a few individuals recorded so far, a few hundred individuals. So it's actually considered an endangered species in the IUCN Red List. But so far we have other records of this species occurring outside the potential distribution according to IUCN. So, but IUCN hasn't still updated these new records for the species. So this is one of the goals that we have in this study that we conducted and published this year. Additionally, Brazil has a lot of caves, more than 200,000 caves predicted to exist, but we only know few thousands of them, few dozens of them. But most of these caves have been recorded in Cerrado, approximately 40 to 50% of them, and most of them are outside protected areas. So not only the Lonchophylla decayeri is facing an important threat due to the deforestation of the savannas of Brazil, but also the caves within its distribution are also very threatened due not only to deforestation and but also due to mining for basically calcarium, which is a mineral that we use to increase the pH of the Cerrado soil, which is very acidic, and it makes us able to plant, and has actually been able for us to plant anything in the Cerrado soil because it's so acidic. But today, Cerrado is responsible for one of the highest proportions of what we actually export and consume within Brazil in terms of especially soybeans and cattle as well, due to this potential, due to large area and also deforestation, but also due to the ability that we have now to increase the pH of the soil and be able to plant. Also, the caves in Brazil have been facing increasing threat due to the political reasons, especially due to Jair Bolsonaro, which has tried to pass a new law that has allowed to, or he's trying to make pressure still to allow the destruction of caves, even the maximum protected caves in Brazil are now trying under threat due to some of the laws that Jair Bolsonaro has tried to pass during his government. So we get together all the records of Lonchophylla decayeri in the Cerrado. We make a distribution modeling for the species in order to understand what are the roles of deforestation and mining as pressure for this species. So we have discovered that more than 40% of the potential distribution of Lonchophylla decayeri in the Cerrado has been already deforested to some extent. More than 50% of its potential distribution is under threat due to mining. And unfortunately, we have also modeled what would be the best locations for protecting the species. But unfortunately, most of the important place for protecting the species are low quality for the caves. So the caves that the species needs to survive are in places that have low quality for the conservation of the species because they have already been deforested or because they're not so suitable for in terms of the conditions for hosting the species, for the species survival. So these are bad news, and we have to increase our efforts to protect the species in this sense, especially the ones the caves are still have good conditions for the conservation of the species. Not only this, but also only 15% of the distribution of the species, the potential distribution, are somehow protected inside protected areas, and around 50% of the caves of the species are inside protected areas. So most of what we need to conserve the Lonchophylla decayseri, is actually not protected at all, and is suffering in a high pressure from the government to increase the destruction of the caves and the deforestation of the cerrado to increase the crop production in Brazil. And the caves that we have on the distribution of the species, most of them have been the vegetation around the caves have been already cleared for different reasons, but mostly for pastures and soybeans. So even the caves that have still remained intact after any kind of conversion to extract calcareum are still threatened due to different conversions of the land use for soybeans and pastures, which threatens the species because if you remember in the beginning of my talk, the species has a small home range and depends on the caves. So the habitats around the caves are essential for the species survival as well, which we have seen now that's already very threatened. So all this together poses a severe threat for the conservation of the species, and a lot of more conservation efforts are needed for us to be able to protect the species if we want to see it in next years, in next decades, especially since the cerrado, if we don't do anything more concrete that we're doing right now, is predicted to disappear outside protected areas in the next 15 to 20 years. So that's it. I hope you liked the video and it was informative. If you have any doubt, muito obrigado, and this is my contact. Thank you. Bye bye.